What's up, guys? Alexis, Nunes, and joining me is James Olley. So happy to have you. We're talking London football, specifically about Jack Wilshere, because you've managed to have a great chat with him. And just reading your piece, James, he almost seems quite hopeful of making a comeback. I almost want to call it the resurrection of Jack Wilshere, because we know his struggles with injuries in the past, but he does seem quite positive. Just map it out for me what the kind of plan is, and can we actually see a second and maybe even better coming of Jack Wilshere?
Yeah, so he had this operation that he was recovering from and was back actually training with the group. What this extra time is actually giving him is a chance to build his sort of core fitness, his foundation fitness, if you like. And that's something that he's talked about in the piece, saying that he hasn't had an opportunity to do that for years. So the sort of more mundane, basic stuff, the running, the weights, the sort of gym, bike work, those sort of things that a lot of players find boring, or a lot of players think is just a stepping stone to being able to get out to playing again. Jack, I think part of the benefit of the season being suspended is that he hasn't had to be rushed back into playing games. West Ham are in a relegation fight. David Moyes has been very positive about wanting to get him back playing again as soon as possible, but he hasn't been rushed. There's nothing to rush back for. So I think the fact that he's got this extra time, almost like a little pre-season, if you like, to be able to rebuild that core fitness means that hopefully when the football does start again, that he'll be able to survive those sort of contact injuries, those difficult things where his body's broken down before, won't affect him in the same way, and he'll be able to play for a longer, sustained period at the highest level.
And then one of the things I thought as well that was quite telling from your quotes and from your chat with him was the fact that mentally speaking, he did seem, not phased at all, despite the stigma that kind of goes with him. And he's quite hopeful to play under David Moyes. Like, how much of a key is that, considering the fact that we saw Manuel Pellegrini probably just lost that faith and trust in him?
He's a positive guy, Jack. He always has been. I remember interviewing him years ago when I think he was involved with one of the computer game launches, and it had been in the diary for a long time. And he suffered another serious injury. I think it was one of the ankle problems. He'd had surgery, and instead of cancelling the interviews, which he'd been quite entitled to do, he actually did them with one leg up in a brace, and just had people coming in and out one after to talk to him. And he literally just had the operation just a couple of weeks before. He was still bullish. He was still optimistic. He just wants to get out and play. That's a big thing for him. And I think the change of manager will be very positive, because the relationship wasn't great with Manuel Pellegrini. And if you look at some of the Arsenal players down the years who've had difficult problems with, or sort of sustained problems with injuries, people like Aaron Ramsey and Robin van Persie, two good examples. It took Arsenal years to find the right way to train. So it wouldn't be just chuck them in with the group and let them get on with it. They would need specific programs tailored to their needs. And it took, particularly Van Persie, took him a long time, really, in that year before he moved to United, for example, for him to get over those injury problems once and for all. And he was a similar age to Jack now. And Jack's had those problems at Arsenal. He's gone to West Ham. And I don't think Pellegrini really understood the nuances and just the quite remarkably detailed injury history that Jack's got. David Moyes seems to be a bit more attuned to that. And if that can help him going forward, and the relationship that he's got with the manager seems to be quite positive, then that can only help him.
And James, just thinking, because he's in the Premier League now, 28 years old. I mean, not the youngest, but he's still not old. You'd think at best he has maybe 5 to 7 years left of football in him if he can stay fit. So he touched on MLS and the kind of temptation as well to go there, and the fact that he loves David Beckham. So what would you, recommend for him? What would be the best, I suppose, path to take to ensure that he does get those years of football?
I mean, he's talked that he wants to play in the Premier League for another couple of years. So the fact that he's got a year left on his contract at West Ham suggests that maybe he's open to another move in England. And I think that Euro 2021, although it's not technically called that, but when it's going to take place now, has actually given him another incentive perhaps to stay in the country, because he got into the World Cup squad just before the 2018 tournament and then got injured again. And clearly he was part of Gareth Southgate's thinking, and he played so well at Arsenal in his final season there to get back in, that maybe that extra year, the deferral of that tournament as a result of the coronavirus might give him a fresh chance to do that. I think his best chance of getting in that squad is probably by staying in England. I think if he went to America, although the level of football there is improving all the time, it probably isn't at a level that Gareth would consider it suitable for the rigours of a major European tournament like that. I think it's also significant that he wants to go over to America not just to pick up a retirement check. He doesn't want to go through the motions and just enjoy the warm weather. He's somebody who wants to go there and make a real difference. And although he wouldn't be drawn on it, I think the fact that David Beckham, who's a player he's idolised for a long time, has now got his own franchise out there and will obviously be looking to attract players of Jack's calibre going forward, that looks like that might be a fit. I think there's something that certainly that Jack would consider. Well, I don't think they've got as far as talking about it yet, but I could see him certainly having a desire to go and play for Beckham over there one day.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.